He was surrounded by Muslim brothers who greeted him and congratulated him. He was gifted a prayer mat, a Quran, and some books to study. This warm, loving welcome by the Brotherhood made quite an impact on Heinti. In one of his interviews, he speaks about how it was so different in a church. Nobody welcomes newcomers with the same love and enthusiasm. In fact,
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh everyone, I'm Mashhur. Today I'm a convert to Islam. I'm from the UK. Today I'm reacting to a video of a famous boxer converting to Islam. Now, a lot of fighters seem to convert to Islam, I think because of the discipline Islam brings into your life. I know that I was never disciplined before Islam. Like, I just lived a kind of YOLO, following whatever desire came to me kind of lifestyle, and personally that led to a lot of misery, that led to building habits that didn't serve me, that didn't help me. Whereas Islam helped me get rid of that, because once you can learn to incorporate 5 prayers into your day, once you can learn to structure your day in that way, and to fast in Ramadan, all these amazing discipline things that we do to defeat our nafs, to defeat our lower selves, you just become unstoppable and you start achieving all the things that you wanted to achieve, because you realize that actually you can control your desires and you can look for long-term satisfaction over short-term gratification. Allah actually says in the Quran, in Surah Al-Furqan, ayat 43, "Have you not seen those who take their own desires as their God? Have you ever felt judged, unheard, or even misunderstood as a Muslim woman? We know there's more to us than just labels and stereotypes. That's why Jenny Molendag-Diveli and I created Khadija's Legacy Circle, a community inspired by the legacy of Khadija radiallahu anha, a wife, a mother, a businesswoman, and a devout servant of Allah, with expert-led courses across faith, like building Islamic character, and live Quran reflection groups. Family, like marriage and parenting. Body, like health and fitness. Mind, like mindset and confidence coaching. And business, like building an online business and marketing. Or skills, like writing children's books, or English and Arabic language skills. KOC is a sisterhood dedicated to growth, strength, and community. Courses with experts that normally cost thousands for only $9.99 a month. There are actually lots of ayats in the Quran that talk about like following your desires, and how if you just follow your desires and instant gratification, you're going to end up in hellfire. You're not going to end up in heaven, because your desires actually don't take you anywhere good. So we're taught to fight against desires, and obviously you can have desires, but it's about distinguishing what's good and what's bad. Stuff that brings you to haram is obviously bad, but stuff that brings you towards goodness is obviously good. And it's about fighting against the negative things. Things like obviously zina, which is really important in our religion. Things like getting haram money, something that a lot of people are doing nowadays. Let's see what this boxer has to say about converting to Islam.
This is Jake Heinti. He found success through his fists, but peace through his faith.
So I was happy, but then a few months later I started losing sponsors and things like that started falling off.
Welcome to yet another gripping story of yet another revert, Jake Heinti. Heinti might have been fighting opponents in the ring, but he was battling far bigger questions within, questions that led him to the religion of Islam. And what was the first thing that impressed him? It was Tawheed, the belief of the Muslims in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As a Christian, Heinti used to pray regularly, but whenever he said a prayer, he couldn't understand who exactly was he praying to, God, Jesus, or Mother Mary. This confusion left him uneasy and with a lot of questions. He found the answers in Islam. He felt very content with the thought that Muslims submitted to only one God, Allah. He found it intriguing that they did not have idols or pictures or any statues to kneel down to. Instead, they wholeheartedly believed that Allah exists and is the creator of this universe, and hence worthy of submission. Heinti's curiosity regarding Islam was sparked accidentally one day while he was listening to podcasts while driving. As if orchestrated by a divine force, the next audio on his podcast turned out to be about Islam.
From podcast and just research, really, just looking into it. And I always wanted to be the best version of myself. I always wanted to be in a religion where it was a strong religion. And I felt Islam was a very strong religion, a disciplined religion, and that fits into my life with the boxing and all the other.
See, discipline. See, this is why I mentioned it. I haven't actually seen this video, but I knew that a lot of people who were in that kind of field, like MMA, boxing and stuff, they do it because of the discipline.
Things as well, so.
Instead of switching over, Heinti continued listening and started to develop interest in the teachings of Islam. He started to do his own research and study the religion. All the teachings that he came across impressed him so much that he believed this religion would be perfect for him, as he always wanted to lead a disciplined lifestyle with clear boundaries. One day, he just decided to call his local mosque and say that he wanted to become a Muslim. The person on the other end advised him to come to the mosque in order to take his shahada. Feeling confident in his decision, Heinti took the leap of faith. As soon as he proclaimed the oneness of Allah, he felt like a huge weight had been lifted off his shoulders. He felt relief and at utmost peace.
Come in, took my shahada, and it was kind of, as soon as I took it, it was relief. Wherever all the things that in life that I feel like I've done wrong, for all the bad times, I just felt when I took my shahada, it was a sense of relief taken off my shoulders.
On walking out of the room where he had taken shahada, he was surrounded by Muslim brothers who greeted him and congratulated him. He was gifted a prayer mat, a Quran, and some books to study. This warm, loving welcome by the brotherhood made quite an impact on Heinti. In one of his interviews, he speaks about how it was so different in a church. Nobody welcomes newcomers with the same love and enthusiasm. In fact,
I think that's just because, like, oh, there's a squirrel looking at me. Hello. Hello, squirrel. Oh my god. Hi. Okay, that was like a big distraction. There's literally a squirrel like right outside my window looking at me, subhanAllah. Bye bye. Oh yeah, you know, because in the West we're very individualistic, like we just care about ourselves, and that's where we're brought up in our culture. Whereas a lot of countries where there are Muslims, and it's emphasized in the Muslim religion as well, is the brotherhood and the caring for others. So yeah, we do get excited when other people convert to Islam because we do care about other people. And in the West, we don't really have that. What someone else is doing is not really any of your business. So we don't really care what other people are doing. But yeah, subhanAllah, that's why you get that kind of love when you come to Islam. Everyone gets so excited and there's so much love because we're all excited for you. We're excited for you to go on that journey because we've been on that journey and we love that journey. Alhamdulillah.
In fact, he expressed how the atmosphere in the church was always divisive, which was in stark contrast to the feeling of brotherhood in a Muslim community.
As I come out of the room after taking shahada, I think you told everyone that someone just took their shahada. So I had people coming up to me saying, "Oh, Assalamu alaikum, like mashallah." And at the time I was like, I don't know what it was. I was like, thank you. I said thank you about 100 times that day. I didn't know what to say back to that. I just thought I didn't know what they were saying. Yeah. So it was kind of like, I was just saying thank you to everyone. But then I went outside, I got given a Quran, a prayer mat, and a few books to read into Islam and whatever. The man took me to the shop, and it was kind of like crazy. The whole time I've been a Christian, the whole time I've been, like when I go to church as a Christian, people, like, I'm not sure about all churches, but people used to look at me when I used to go in there like, oh, the new boy on the block. When you walk into a mosque, you go and pray together.
Heinti spoke passionately about how he loves the aspect of tawakkul, or reliance on Allah only, in Islam. As a professional boxer, he would normally get stressed and anxious about fights, but after accepting Islam, he started to practice tawakkul. Before every fight, he would pray and remind himself that he's put in a lot of training and hard work from his end, and now he needs to leave the matter to Allah, which left him at peace and contentment before his fights. His tawakkul now allows him to enter the ring with full confidence, and he knows that whatever happens now will be the best outcome for him. Having said that, Heinti also said that some people don't put in the work and just leave everything to Allah. This is not the right approach as well, as Allah expects us to try our hardest to achieve the best outcome. That is why Heinti has always trained hard and stayed disciplined. The discipline that an Islamic life requires was yet another turning point for Heinti. As a boxer, he always tried to follow a strict regime, and Islam provided that perfectly. Recalling his earlier days, Heinti said that his Christian friends, no matter how disciplined they tried to be, would fall off at times because they could not resist drinking and partying. This would severely impact their quality of life, and Heinti did not want that for himself. On the other hand, when he observed the Muslims around him, he realized that they were very strict about not consuming haram or pursuing the party lifestyle. Heinti expressed in his interview that even if a Muslim was offered money in exchange of doing something haram, they still would not do it. Heinti, who always believed in being the best version of himself, found this attitude very fascinating. Heinti believes that one of the biggest reasons why it was easy for him to come to Islam was because of his social life. He was always very careful about choosing his friends. There were times when he was surrounded by people who were on the wrong path, but he quickly realized, with the help of his parents, that he would soon end up like the people he hangs out with, and most of them ended up in jail. Heinti soon started to cut himself off from such people and started to focus more on his boxing career, preferring to spend more time on his own. This part of Henti's story is a true testament to one of the sayings of our Prophet ﷺ, who said that the kind of company a person keeps is very important. Henti urges the audience in one of his interviews to choose your friends wisely, as who you choose as friends will determine who you would turn out to be in the future. Another key aspect of our religion that Henti talked about and practices in his daily life is sabr, or having patience. When Henti reverted, he lost a lot of his extended family and even his parents cut off from him. But Henti persisted and kept working on his faith and his character, and his patience finally paid off when his father came back into his life, because he said that becoming a Muslim was bringing a positive change in Henti. His mother felt proud of who he was becoming as well. It was Henti's patience that helped him carry on with this decision, even when times get tough.
He was on their side. But then after time, they started seeing me how I was changing and how I was. They thought I would just be something that would last 2 weeks or say like a phase or something. Yeah. But when they started seeing me praying all the time and started being positive and becoming trying to become a better person.
In the professional world, Henti had to face setbacks as well after he reverted. A lot of his sponsors withdrew their support as they were not happy with him becoming a Muslim. Henti ended up facing financial losses, but he still couldn't give up his newly found faith. He continues to practice Islam and is certain that he will be given all the success of the world and the hereafter as long as he continues to submit to Allah. Facing these early setbacks made him more resilient and determined in his decision, and instead of making him feel disappointed and discouraged, these events in his life made him keener to practice shukr, or gratitude. Henti became more humbled and realized that he still had so many good things in his life for which he should always be thankful. He soon went for Umrah and visited Mecca and Medina. This was at a time when he had recently fought one of his biggest fights and was basking in glory and success. But as soon as he reached the Kaaba, all his thoughts about his fight and success just vanished from his mind. All he wanted to do was take in the peace and tranquility around him and focus on his connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Still had a black eye when I got there, but I said to myself, after my fight, I usually think, I'm going to look back on myself. People come up to you and they're like, oh, well done, this, this, and this. I thought, no, I'm going to go to Umrah and I'm going to humble myself rather than put all the success on myself.
Oh, you won, yeah?
Yeah, I won the fight. So I said, rather than give myself all the rewards and say to myself, oh, well done. Yeah. When I went to Umrah, it was kind of like what I'd done in the fighting was completely forgotten about. Now it's all about Islam. So that was a good feeling.
Henti believes that Islam is the solution to so many problems that people face nowadays. He says that Islam is like a counselor for mental health issues. The faith and the moral and values taught to the Muslims can help them deal with so many stresses of life. Understanding the Quran can help people deal with depression and anxiety.
Islam is like a private counselor. Like there's a lot of problems that you have will be solved by reading the Quran, looking into Islam.
I appreciate that. That's a good one, actually. The private counsel. I might have to use that one.
I always feel like that sometimes because over the years I had.
Yeah, you know what? I actually say this: Islam is like having Islam in your life is listening to motivational talks and being a Muslim, having Islam in your life. Like the difference between not achieving your goals and achieving your goals. Having Islam in your life is like having an actual private life coach. And like he says with the private counselor type thing, it's because you have accountability. Allah is always watching. That's what you have when you have a life coach, right? You have accountability. And two, I've been reading this book called Atomic Habits. You guys might have read it before. It's very popular. One of the big things he talks about in the book is if you want to build positive habits, you need to identify as that person. Like it needs to be part of your identity. And I thought about this. I was like, why do I sometimes struggle to build healthy habits? But when I became Muslim, I went from somebody who never prayed to praying 5 times a day like that, like overnight. It just happened. And before I became Muslim, I couldn't do fasting. When I became Muslim, I just fasted like that. What changed? And that's because I identified as a Muslim, therefore it was in my identity. And when something's in your identity, you're way more likely to do it. So for example, if you identify as a healthy person, you're more likely to have healthy eating. I know when I say this, you're probably thinking of like transgender and stuff. But I mean, just like having it in your identity. And I'm a Muslim, I identify as a Muslim. I am a Muslim, alhamdulillah. And that means that I pursue Islamic things without trouble, sometimes with ease, and obviously Allah facilitates that. So yeah, having Islam in your life you can make changes, you can build positive habits so easily compared to just being someone that's trying to do fasting. It's so much harder. When you're Muslim and fasting, it's so much easier. I do honestly believe Allah facilitates that as well. But subhanAllah, this is an amazing story, amazing revert story. I love revert stories. There are a lot of sports people becoming Muslim. I love that as well. Inshallah, you gained something from this, some inspiration. Thank you guys for watching. Assalamu alaikum.